And good afternoon. Welcome to the booth on KDX AM 1590. I'm Darren Todd. Very excited for my guest today, Melissa Combs, the Director of Economic Development for the Dunklin County. Melissa, welcome to the booth.
Thank you for having me.
And before we get started, I've known Melissa for a while. She's gracious enough to take a few moments out of her day here to join us, and welcome to the booth. Melissa, tell us a little bit about yourself to the listeners.
So I have lived in Dunklin County since 2011. I'm a wife. I've got 5 children. I grew up in a little town called Delaplane near Paragould, Arkansas. Very small town. And then I've lived in Dunklin County, Missouri for all of my adult life.
And you indicated that you're from Delaplane originally. You wound up here in Kennett. Tell me a little bit about your experiences and how you became the Director of Economic Development for Dunklin County.
Sure. I came to Kennett through Walmart. I was an employee of Walmart straight out of college from Arkansas State University and worked for Walmart and moved around from Memphis to Arkansas to Missouri and eventually landed here. And actually kind of Walmart and kind of for love. So I met my husband and he lived here. So I moved here in 2011 to be with him and honestly didn't expect to stay for long. I thought that I'd be here about 18 months before I headed out to my next Walmart assignment. But 14 years later, here I still am.
And let's talk a little bit about that if we can. And you indicated you have 5 children, you're married. You originally came here because you're an employee of Walmart straight out of Arkansas State University. And you indicated you felt you'd probably be here about 18 months. In working for Walmart, is that usually the time frame, or why did you think 18 months?
So at that time, the company was pretty aggressive with management employees moving, and 24 months was about the time frame that they wanted you to stay in a store before you moved on to your next assignment. The goal at that time was to advance you to the next level up or move you out. So I was accustomed to, at that point in time, being at a place about 18 months.
And when you said move you up or move you out, that indicates they were either going to advance you or you're going to be done with the company. Is that correct?
Correct.
And again, we're here with Melissa Combs, the Director of Economic Development for Dunklin County on Welcome to the Booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590. And you indicated that you arrived here in Dunklin County back in 2011. You've been here ever since. After Walmart, what did you do next?
When I decided to leave Walmart at the birth of my son, who's now 13, he was born with some physical challenges, was very small, born very early, and I decided that retail management probably wasn't the job that I wanted to be in and be the mom that I wanted to be. And so I was praying for a different opportunity, and then someone who worked with me at Walmart saw the listing for Kennett Chamber of Commerce Executive Director, and they said, why don't you try for this? So I did, and I was very blessed that the board decided to take me on. I had not had previous chamber experience in a working role. I did have volunteer experience, and I was lucky enough to move from Walmart straight across the road to Kennett Chamber of Commerce.
And what year was it that you became the Director of the Chamber of Commerce? Do you remember offhand?
That was about 2014.
And you indicated there was a vacancy, and you were lucky enough to get hired 2014 to become the Executive Director of the Chamber of Commerce here in Kennett. And again, we're here with Melissa Combs, Director of Economic Development for Dunklin County. What were your duties and roles there with the Chamber of Commerce here in Kennett?
So previously, Kennett Chamber of Commerce was the economic development leader for the city of Kennett, but also managed tourism and marketing and membership services. At that time, the city decided to split those duties. So I was responsible for membership duties and tourism marketing for the city of Kennett. Our office did not handle economic development. That was handled by a separate office, but we did partner with them. So we did things like anything that would promote businesses in the community or through our membership. So ribbon cuttings, business after hours, business learning opportunities, great fun things like the Delta Fair Parade, our annual golf tournament, annual meetings. The overall goal was to boost the existing business community.
So your role kind of shifted from economic development at the chamber to that time in which you were focusing on gaining membership of actual businesses, also focusing on assisting those businesses who are already in the community to make their businesses grow. Is that correct?
Right. We wanted to help the businesses collaborate together, maybe form relationships that they didn't formerly have, and educate the community about the businesses that we have here.
And again, we're here with Melissa Combs, and we're talking a little bit about our time as the director of the Kennett Chamber of Commerce. And you indicated you took that role in 2014. Is that correct?
That's right.
How long were you the director there of the Chamber of Commerce?
I was there for 8 years, just until the end of 2021.
And obviously, you worked through one of the most turbulent times ever for a business to be involved in. That was COVID. Is that correct?
That's right.
And kind of explain what was the thought of the Chamber of Commerce during the COVID situation?
That the goal of the chamber at that time was to maintain. We didn't want to do anything that would hurt the business community. So at that time, there was a lot of talk about restricting the number of customers that could come into a building. There was lots of talk about, drive-through only and limiting customers to your facility. And a lot of that really hurt our business community with their ability to reach customers. We found that we could best support the business community by sharing what their local promotions were. So some businesses found ways to expand on that drive-through only, and they began selling things that they didn't normally sell, and that helped them find different customers. So our effort was to limit government's intrusion on the business's ability to do business the best that they could, and also promote whatever those stores or businesses were doing to reach their customers.
And obviously, you did an excellent job during that. I would like to say that the chamber really was proactive in attempting to make sure that there wasn't a lot of government intrusion in regards to the activities of retail sales. I know that if you're in the restaurant business, or if you're in the convenience store business or anything of that nature, and they're saying, well, you've got to lock your doors, or you can only have one person in at a time, or two people in at a time, it's very difficult to make a living with that situation.
That's right. And the federal government did put in provisions. City code enforcement did a great job of going in and measuring buildings and making sure that everyone was compliant. Our plea to local leadership was to not put further imposition on those businesses, to let them do what the federal government advised, and if anyone was not following those guidelines, to address that individually, but not put an overall blanket on the business community.
And at some point, you were the director there until 2022, 2021?
Yeah, I think I misspoke earlier. 2022 was the end of my time there.
And you eventually had an opportunity after 2022 to do something else. Is that correct?
That's right. With the vacancy of the City of Kennett's Economic Development, Dunklin County Commission decided to create an economic development position to cover the entire county, and I applied for and interviewed for that position, and thankfully was selected. And
let's talk a little bit about that. The county commission felt that it was very important that there was an economic director for the entire county to assist all the towns as well as the unincorporated areas to pursue businesses. Is that correct?
That's right. We have a goal of attracting businesses to Dunklin County. We are seeking, we'll work with all levels of businesses, but our office's primary goal is the attraction of businesses with 10 or more employees.
And we're talking a little bit to Melissa Combs, the Director of Economic Development for Dunklin County, talking a little bit about her past on Welcome to the Booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590. And Melissa, we've talked a lot about where you're at in the past and where you're at now. What are some of the duties and what are some of the things that you're focusing on right now as the Director of Economic Development for Dunklin County?
One thing that I did not anticipate that's become a large part of my role is grant writing and administration. You mentioned unincorporated areas, and we have a lot of drainage districts or townships that maybe don't have full-time clerks or staff, but they still have development needs. So we are finding every grant opportunity that we can to help those unincorporated areas and the communities in our county to meet their planning needs.
And let me ask you a little bit about that. You've indicated that obviously a lot of people know there's a township form of government in Dunklin County. In addition to the county commission, the township's in charge of roads and things of that nature. There's also numerous drainage districts and things of that nature that's in charge of the drainage and things of that nature. Do they actually reach out to you and ask you for assistance in regards to grant writing and things of that nature?
Yes, they do. And over the past couple of years, we've wrote several paving grants specifically for townships in our area. Some have been awarded, some have not. We just submitted 2 for 2 different townships about 3 weeks ago, so we'll find out in the fall if those were awarded or not. But yes, if anyone who's involved with their township government or their drainage board or even a newly elected city council member and you're curious about what opportunities are out there, please reach me. I am primarily at the downtown courthouse in Kennett, or you can reach me at 573-344-6162, and I will hear your concerns. And there may not be a grant that's open today, but I promise you we'll be listening for something that could be open in the future that could help you with the advancement of your area.
And again, that's open to any cities, it's open to any townships, it's open to anyone, drainage districts. All they need to do is contact you there on your cell phone or at the courthouse. And explain to you what you need, and you can help them in the right direction.
That's right. I will come to your city or your township, and I will drive around with you, whether that means driving in my car, getting in the back of a pickup truck, getting on a tractor. It doesn't matter. We'll drive around. We'll scope out your areas of concern. Maybe your community has buildings that need demolished. Maybe you have a water line issue. Maybe you need paving improvements. We can jot all those down, get with other planning organizations, and try to find a financial solution.
And in regards to contacting you, and you gave your cell phone number, is there some kind of website, Facebook page, or anything of that nature that we need to throw out there as well, or is it mostly just the cell phone?
The county's official website is dunklincounty.gov. On the top, there is a pull down for the courthouse, and you can find the economic development page, and you can find my email and my cell phone. My email is mcombs@dunklincounty.gov. That's probably the best way to reach me. I have that at all times, but if you need to call anybody in the downtown courthouse, the clerk's office, the assessors, the treasurer, they can get you to me.
And one thing I will say, we're here with Melissa Combs, the Director of Economic Development for Dunklin County. I believe I sent an email, and I think you responded within 1 minute. So I will agree that you're definitely on top of the email. You indicated a little bit about growing up in Delaplane, a small town outside of Paragould. Tell me a little bit about growing up there in Delaplane. Is it kind of conducive or similar to growing up here in Dunklin County?
So Delaplane is very, very small, and that school district was actually made up of the children from 4 small towns: Noble, Peach Orchard, Delaplane, and O'Kane, Arkansas. And everyone's on the same road, and we all went to Delaplane was kind of the central point. Very rural, very much a small farming community. I lived on 2 miles of gravel, so I know what it's like to live on a road that floods or doesn't get graded or doesn't get the attention that it deserves. So I can very much identify with a resident of the rural county.
And again, we're here with Melissa Combs on Welcome to the Booth, KDX AM 1590. Darren Todd talking to Melissa Combs, the Director of Economic Development for Dunklin County. And we talked a little bit about your grant writing and things of that nature. Other than writing grants and some things of that nature, what else is involved in your role as the Director of Economic Development for Dunklin County?
So I would never claim to be a professional real estate agent, but real estate ends up being a lot of what I do. A lot of people will call and say, hey, I have this abandoned warehouse that was used for cotton storage in the 80s. Would you come look at it? I am begging for properties like that. If you are a property owner in Dunklin County and you have a parcel of land at any size that you feel might be valuable for commercial use, please contact me. I collect a library of properties so that when requests come from site selectors, I can immediately turn those around. It doesn't matter if it's 1 acre or 5 acres, if it is a 10,000 square foot barn or a 100,000 square foot warehouse. There are opportunities for those. I come to the site, take photos, take measurements, collect data on what kind of power sources it has, who's the utility provider. Then I'll get with the utility companies and figure out what kind of power can we possibly get there if we need that in the future. We collect information on how far is it to the closest airport, to the closest interstate, to the closest 4-lane highway. There's a laundry list of questions that I'll come and evaluate. And then we may get a bite immediately. It may take 10 years. You don't ever know, but you don't know if your property's not out there. So real estate ends up taking a lot of my time, and I really enjoy that. The goal is to get the right size property in front of the right potential business.
And let's talk a little bit about, before we move on, you indicated that you have a library in which you incorporate all these properties and things of that nature. And if someone contacts you, how would an individual know how to contact Melissa Combs, the Director of Economic Development in Dunklin County, and say, hey, we're looking for this type of commercial property?
So I am a certified economic developer through the Missouri Department of Economic Development and Missouri Economic Development Council. They provide us with a great list of site selectors. Also, there's a third-party company that's part of economic development. They are called Missouri Partnership. And they have the job of finding businesses outside of the state of Missouri and getting them to come to Missouri. So they will send the request to me, but also the economic developers all across the state. And they will send out the request of the company, and it's my job to go to that library and turn around what properties I have to suit. And the reason that I like to have those properties available in what I call a library is because the turnaround is sometimes almost immediate. It will be, we need an answer by noon tomorrow of what you have that can fit that niche.
Right. And again, if anyone has any kind of commercial property, property in general that they feel would be excellent for a commercial, they can contact you and let you know. You can come out, take pictures, answer some questions, put all this in the library so that it'll be available for anyone who contacts you in the future, correct?
That's right. We link those to our website. I referenced dunklincounty.gov earlier. If you scroll down, you can see the listings that are already on there, and there should be a link that says, are you interested in listing a property? And that will help you get in contact with me. But we list all of our listings online into a national site selector view so those companies can find them. But it's also my job to get those directly in front of them.
And let's talk a little bit about, you've indicated there's grant writing, there's real estate that you've talked about. What are some other things? I know there's numerous things that you also do. What else are you involved in?
The biggest part of economic development is relationships, and that sounds really cheesy, but you've got to have someone who is able to talk to the company, who can talk to the legislators at the state level, the federal level, and the local level, who can go out with a measuring wheel, look at that, who can come out and mark a sewer line, and do all the things all at once. So I have to have good relationships with all those different groups of people, right? Have to have good relationships with the business community, with local elected officials, our state and federal leaders and their staff members, and be able to connect with the business community. And I said, I would get in the back of a pickup truck. That's absolutely true. We have done that. We've had to do deals while driving out with somebody in a tractor because that's all that they have time to do. So it requires being very flexible and able to build relationships with different types of people.
And again, we're here with Melissa Combs, the Director of Economic Development for Dunklin County, with Darren Todd, and welcome to the booth, KDX AM 1590. And we've been talking to Melissa about her numerous duties as the Economic Director for Dunklin County. Melissa, talk a little bit about your relationship with the County Commission here in Dunklin County. How do you interact with the Commission? How do you report to the Commission? What requirements do they ask of you as the Economic Director?
So I report directly to the County Commission, Don, Ron, and Patrick. They meet Mondays and Thursdays from about 8:30 to noon, and I'm typically with them in session. I do a lot of connecting for them. So, for example, this morning we had a meeting with MoDOT. MoDOT came to talk about a potential project that's going to happen 2 years from now, but MoDOT has come to learn that I'm the connection that works full-time to that office. So MoDOT will reach out to me to set up a meeting with the commission, and I disseminate a lot of information for them. Also, if constituents reach out to either Ron or Patrick or Don that they are having a problem and maybe they feel like grant writing could be a solution, then the commissioners will bring those to me and ask if there are any programs that I'm aware of that we can help their constituents with.
And we're talking with Melissa Combs, the Economic Director for Dunklin County here on KDX AM 1590. Welcome to the booth. And we're jumping back and forth, but Melissa, you indicated that you graduated from Arkansas State.
Right.
What was your degree back then?
My degree was business management with an emphasis in human resources, and now I work in economics, but that was probably actually my worst coursework. I think I got a C in macroeconomics, so it's kind of funny now that that's my certification.
Well, in talking to you, it sounds like you've also joined numerous other organizations. Tell the listeners a little bit about some of the other organizations that you're part of as Economic Director.
So I'm a member of Missouri Economic Development Council, and I mentioned that I'm a certified economic developer through them. That involves a series of coursework, experience, and an exam to get that certification. I'm also a member of the International Economic Development Council. I sit on the executive board of Boot Hill Regional Planning Commission, and I'm the chairperson of the Boot Hill Regional Community Foundation. And locally, I am the president of Kennett Lions Club this year, and I serve on the SEMO University Local Advisory Board. I think that's it for now.
And what do you do with all your free time? You indicated you have 5 children and all those. What do you do with all your free time, Melissa?
I go to baseball and basketball and soccer and softball games.
I understand. Again, we're here with Melissa Combs, the Director of Economic Development for Dunklin County. And we talked a little bit about some of the duties that you've been doing. And again, this is kind of a unique question. What is the thing that you like to do with economic that is the most fun for Melissa Combs doing that job?
I like to go out to real estate prospects and look at properties and measure them out and stomp around and find unique characteristics that we can market. I really enjoy going out and about and meeting people. That's exciting to me.
And you talked a little bit about you're on the board of directors for the Boot Hill Regional Planning Commission. I know that Jim Griebing is currently the executive director. Is that correct?
That's right.
Mr. Griebing worked here in Kennett for a little bit. I think he still lives in Kennett, but he's his office is there in Dexter for the Boot Hill. You indicated you're on that board. What does your duties of the director of economic development on Dunklin County? How does it relate to you being on the Boot Hill Regional Planning Commission?
So every county in the six county Boot Hill region, we are allowed 2 board members to serve on the executive board. It's important that we have proper representation so that we can be aware of what opportunities are out there. The Boot Hill Regional Planning Commission is a great resource. That almost probably 90% of the grant opportunities that we have found in the past 3 years have come from that office. It's a hidden gem. If any city in the 6 Boot Hill County area can be a member of Boot Hill Regional Planning Commission, and your membership gets you free grant writing services. Doesn't guarantee that they'll always be awarded, but it gets you that service. And they can come to your community, they can evaluate your needs, and they can give you an honest answer of what opportunities are out there for you. So it's important that Dunklin County have positive relationships with Boot Hill Regional Planning Commission so that we can take the most financial opportunities.
So is it my understanding, for instance, let's say that if I'm in Bell City or Advance, or if I'm in Cardwell or Arbird, and I had a need for a grant writing situation, I could reach out to Boot Hill Regional Planning and they would be able to help me with some grant writing?
That's absolutely correct. So most of the communities in Dunklin County are already members of Boot Hill Regional Planning Commission. If you don't know the value of the Planning Commission, or maybe you're newly elected and you've never heard of Boot Hill Regional Planning Commission, contact me. I'll help you get in touch with them, or contact their office in Dexter directly. They will be happy to come to your council meeting and explain the value and what opportunities are out there.
And I know that we're here with Melissa Combs, the director of the economic development for Dunklin County, and we can't put the information out enough. If they are wanting to get a hold of you, Melissa, how would they do that?
You can find my information on dunklincounty.gov. Up at the top, there's a link for courthouse. Pull that down on economic development. You'll find my email address is mcombs@dunklincounty.gov, and phone number 573-344-6162.
And again, with Melissa, we're talking with Melissa Combs, the economic director of Dunklin County, in regards to economic development. On Welcome to the Booth, KDX AM 1590, Darren Todd. And we talked a little bit about what you enjoy most involving your work. Tell me a little bit about some of the things that you're looking forward to letting the people know in the future about what you've done as the economic director.
Economic development is a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's very slow. People want to know, well, I've had this property on market forever. I thought you showed it. What's going on? And a lot of it's confidential. And I'd love to tell you the 10 people we've showed it to, but a lot of times we can't, right? But I am excited that we have been working on a project since July of 2024. We have finally found that that's going to come to fruition. It's going to equal jobs for Dunklin County, and we'll be announcing that at the end of this month.
So there will be a major announcement at the end of the month in regarding to a new employer coming to Dunklin County.
Right.
And that announcement will be sometime end of this month, which is August. Is that correct?
That's right.
And you indicated that it's a marathon, not a sprint. Explain to the listeners, and again, we're here with Melissa Combs, Director of Economic Development for Dunklin County, on Welcome to the Booth with Darren Todd, KDX AM 1590. When you say it's a marathon, not a sprint, explain kind of a time frame of an economic director, and it's a poorly worded question. When you say it's a marathon, how long are you talking about?
At least 12 months. I've had 2 other big deals that took 24 months. So from the time that you first show a property to a prospect to getting through hurdles of paperwork, the good part about having a local economic developer is that I'm closely tied with the State Department of Economic Development that has several incentives. So we're able to get with the state. Sometimes the state can provide incentives to companies that are going to have several employees that we can't locally. Putting those incentive packages together takes some time. So showing the property, putting together packages, getting agreements signed, getting pre-construction, all of that takes a long time. It takes a lot longer than maybe buying a house or just straight buying a commercial building.
And again, we're here with Melissa Combs, the Director of Economic Development for Dunklin County. Be a major announcement regarding a new employer coming to Dunklin County at the end of the month in August. Melissa, in Dunklin County, obviously Kennett, Malden, 2 of the bigger towns. It's my understanding that David Blaylock is the Director of Economic Development in Malden. Is that correct?
That's right.
And do you have a good working relationship with Mr. Blaylock? I know that there's a airport up there. Is that an advantage for a town to have an airport like Kennett has to bring in industry?
Yes, Malden is blessed to have Mr. Blaylock. He's the city of Malden is the only city in Dunklin County that has their own dedicated economic developer. So they are ahead of the curve there, and their airport property is really great. It has great commercial space. It even has residential space. So yes, Malden has a great property with their airport. Kennett also has a great airport. Hornersville and Campbell have smaller airports, but they are lucky to have those as well.
And in regards to pushing things and things of that nature, in addition to the airport, does a lot of people still look for railways or rail spurs in regards to their industries?
Yes. I mentioned that Missouri Partnership or site selectors will contact us and they'll say, we're looking for X amount of acres. If it says we need it on a rail spur, Malden's the only option for that property. So those go to Mr. Blaylock, and he answers those for that community. If I see something out there that I don't know that he has seen, I make sure that he has seen it and has the option to reply. And
in regards to the again, we're here with Melissa Combs, the Director of Economic Development for Dunklin County, on Welcome to the Booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590. We talk a lot about a marathon and bringing in these industries and things of that nature. And again, there's going to be a major announcement at the end of the month of August about some new industry coming here to Kennett. What are some of the things that really push an industry and say, you know what, this is the community or the area that I want to be a part of. This is where I want to come to bring my business?
We have found if we can get the company to come here and meet the people, that usually we can lock them in. When they come, you find out, do they want the short tour or the long tour? I hope that they want the long tour. I want to take them all the way around a community. I want to take them to the city hall. I want to take them to the school district, take them to the local diner, and get them in here, see what a great welcoming community that we have.
And in a lot of the times, and we've talked a lot about school districts in the past areas, does education and the ability to provide public education to their children or the workers and children also make a big deal when businesses talk about bringing their business here to this area?
Absolutely. We are lucky that in Dunklin County, you can earn education from birth to a bachelor's degree without ever leaving the county. We're lucky to have the Dayoc Early Head Start Centers, Dayoc Head Starts, great public school systems, and the presence of Three Rivers College and SEMO University. So truly, from birth all the way to a bachelor's degree, you don't ever have to leave.
And again, we're here with Melissa Combs, the Director of Economic Development for the city, for Dunklin County. And we talked a lot about your past, and you indicated that you began in Walmart management level. Did Walmart and that management level make you understand some of the cutting edges of technology in regards to running a business?
Yes, I wish that everyone could have a chance to go through Walmart's Management Academy. It's great for just life skills and business skills. I was really lucky to experience their level of technology and their logistics. They can tell you where a truck is on every single mile. You'll know exactly to the minute when a frozen dairy truck is going to pull in your door so that you can be there with a thermometer and a crew to unload it. Walmart has great infrastructure, and our rural communities are lucky to have two in Dunklin County.
And I know that Walmart's always on the cutting edge. And this is not about Walmart, but this is about you as economic director being part of a Fortune 500 company, knowing what it takes to be in the management level there and coming in and bringing business to Dunklin County. I think it's amazing, with the scanners, the self scanners, to just the absolute home shopping, where they deliver your groceries, where you can order it and you just pull up and they put it in your car. It always seems like they're on the cutting edge of technology.
They are. And what I appreciate about Walmart is just the basic standard of doing business. I like to think about, there's a picture from the 60s of Kennett's Downtown Square, and there are 4 merchants sweeping their doorstep. Walmart teaches you to sweep your doorstep. They teach employees to park in a specific place so the parking space is closest to the door or for the employees, and that's still a practice that I think is important. Mm-hmm. That if you own a business, you should park on the exterior so that your customers can get to the front. Simple things like treating customers well, timeliness. Walmart covers all those things while still having up-to-date technology. And,
a lot of people think Walmart's this, Walmart's that. They have the advantage. And again, I can still remember when you went into a small Walmart before we had the super Walmart, they had door greeters. Individuals say, hey, thanks for coming in. We appreciate it. And I don't think people understand, like you say, a clean, inviting place makes people want to come into your business. And I know that we've talked a lot to the city and things of that nature. And I think there's a real improvement or trying by the city to clean up the areas, house issues, dilapidated business issues and things of that nature. Is it wrong for me to say that if other businesses would want to improve the appearance of their buildings, upkeep their buildings, and keep it in a more appropriate, friendly manner, it would help draw more business?
Oh, absolutely. The way you keep your exterior, whether it's inviting or not, just like your house. If your yard isn't mowed at home, people may question whether they want to knock on the door. Same thing for a business. It's important to have the weeds pulled out of your sidewalk, to make sure that your sign is professional and in working order. Maybe if your letters have fallen off, to fix that. Outside of your building is definitely just as important as the inside.
And again, we're here with Melissa Combs, Director of Economic Development for Dunklin County. And I've been talking to Melissa a little bit about her past. She indicated she has 5 children, her husband. Does your husband still work at Walmart?
He worked at Walmart for 25 years, and he left them 2 years ago, and now he works for Lowe's.
Okay. And in talking a little bit about some of the things that you've done in the past, Melissa, the Chamber. What kind of relationship does you, as the Director of Economic Development for Dunklin County, have with the chambers in not only Kennett, but Malden and any other chambers that we have in Dunklin County?
It's really important that I have a good relationship with the chambers. Christian Johnson is the Director of Kennett Chamber of Commerce. We communicate very often. The Chamber of Commerce in any town is typically the first call from a potential business prospect. Maybe they have driven through town and they've seen a vacant lot. Someone has a question about it. They typically will call the Chamber of Commerce. And while they don't handle economic development directly for the city of Kennett, Christian will filter those questions to me as appropriate. And Malden's Chamber of Commerce is structured a little bit different. They'll probably go to Mr. Blaylock, who we referenced earlier. If he needs me, he'll contact me. But that's typically the flow through.
And again, we're here with Melissa Combs, and welcome to the booth. KDX AM 1590 with Darren Todd, talking a little bit about her duties as Director of Economic Development for Dunklin County. Melissa, what do you find is one of the major challenges of trying to bring someone here to Dunklin County in regard to businesses?
So everyone always has a question about workforce. We have to do a great job of touting our workforce. We talked about education. We have great public education centers. Kennett Career and Technology Center is a hidden gem in this county that we're hoping that we can expand on. They have great programs, and there are opportunities to hire those high school students and train them the way you want them as soon as they graduate. So we try to connect businesses with the career centers, with the appropriate high school. And also we are lucky to have one of the last remaining job centers in the city of Kennett. There are no other job centers within 100 miles. So anyone who needs direct face-to-face help with a state employee with unemployment benefits or hiring or testing, they have to come to this Kennett Job Center. So we are lucky that we have it and need to protect it.
And let's talk a little bit about the Job Center, because I think a lot of people are like, Job Center? I didn't know there's a Job Center. They used to call it the Unemployment Agency, I think is what they called it. But now it's segued to the Job Center. That's located over by the Grecian. Is that correct?
That's right.
And you can go in. They can assist you in preparing a resume. They can assist you in numerous other activities. Is that correct?
Right. So any employer that has job openings, you can do a free listing through the Job Center. They will help you find candidates through people that are in their pool. But if you're on the hunt for a job, you can also go there and look for those jobs. They are commonly having hiring events. They will do a hiring event for any business in their facility, or they can come remotely and do it for you.
And I think there's the website that you can get on. I'm not sure. Is it?
It'll be jobs.mo.gov.
And you can fill everything out online, or you can come to the office, which is located here in Dunklin County on the South Bypass by the Grecian. I'm not sure exactly what the address is, but I know it's right there. So that's very exciting. And you indicated that's one of the only remaining job centers in
the whole region. I think 2 years ago, they shut down the maybe Poplar Bluff in Sykeston. I may be incorrect about that, but this is the last remaining one. So anyone from those communities who needs they're encouraging a lot of online, but sometimes, let's just face it, you need to sit down and talk to a person.
Yes.
And they have to come to Kennett to get that help.
And again, we're here with Melissa Combs, Director of Economic Development for Dunklin County. I want to welcome to the Loop with Darren Todd, KDX AM 1590. And we've talked a lot about you becoming the Economic Director, and you said you were hired by the County Commission. You were interviewed. Who was the individuals and who was on the County Commission that made the decision that Melissa Combs is the person that we want to hire as the Director of Economic Development for Dunklin County?
So Don Collins is the presiding commissioner. Patrick McHaney is for the south end of the county, and Ron Huber is for the north end of the county. They were in office when I was hired, when they made the decision to create the list or the listing. There were other candidates who were interviewed as well, and I was blessed to be able to accept the position.
And going back, and not trying to talk about anything that's too personal, what was one of the questions that when they asked you, it really stuck out that, hey, this is something that I need to be involved in, and I'm going to be really, really good as the Director of Economic Development for Dunklin County?
They let me know that they were going to give me the autonomy to form the office as I saw fit. I was excited about learning or about utilizing what I had learned from my previous position and about what I would do or would not do. They let me know, of course, that I had guidelines, but they gave me the creative freedom to form the office as I thought that it needed to be structured.
And again, we're here with Melissa Combs, the Director of Economic Development for Dunklin County. We're excited to announce that in August, the end of this month, there will be a major announcement about some new employer coming to Dunklin County. We're strictly embargoed. I would love for you to give me that information if you want to break that here, but I think you're waiting for the end of the month. Is that correct?
Yep. We've got a big to-do at the end of the month, so it'll be exciting. And
obviously there'll be major announcements on the website as well as through the media in regards to that, I'm assuming.
Right.
So we'll want to invite everyone out in the community to come and be a part of that. And Melissa, let's talk a little bit about the mayor and the city council right now. obviously, the Director of Economic Development for Dunklin County, Kennett, is the largest city here in Dunklin County. What kind of relationship does the Director of Economic Development have with Dunklin County, and the fact that we now have a new interim city administrator in Steve Rasmussen?
Steve and I have got to know each other very well over the past month. We have a good relationship. I'm lucky that their city hall is 1 block away from the courthouse, so if I need anything, they're not that far away. I have a great relationship with their city council and mayor and city administrator and clerk's office.
And, we're talking a little bit about Steve Rasmussen. Steve's been on the show, and he's talked a little bit about his past. He's a 30-year military man in which he was the military retired as commander of the military base over at Fort Campbell in Kentucky. And I asked Steve, how did you go from being in charge of a military base to working with a city council of 10 individuals in which you just throw things out there and they mull it over and then they decide? And he just says, patience. And is that kind of where you're at as the economic director as well? You throw things out there and let the county commission and the other ones kind of see where everything's going to go?
Right. You kind of have to plead your case sometimes. You have to lay out all the facts and be prepared. If you have an idea for a project or something that you need to get done, you can provide the framework, but ultimately it's up to those elected officials to get it done. And sometimes you have to educate them on what's best or maybe not according to your opinion, but they have been elected for a reason. So ultimately it's up to them to decide.
And again, we're here with Melissa Combs, Director of Economic Development for Dunklin County on Welcome to the Doof with Darren Todd, KDX AM 1590, talking a lot about economic development. And Melissa, this is kind of a unique question in that most people probably haven't asked you. Has there ever been a business or type of business that's wanted to come to Kennett or Dunklin County, I should say, and you're thinking, this is just not really right for Dunklin County?
Yes. So a big part of my job that I didn't really think of until you asked that question is business consultation. We have a step-by-step guide to starting a business in Dunklin County. If you're thinking about starting a business, if you have an idea, I would encourage you to reach out to me and let's look at this list, because step number 1 is to test the feasibility. Just because we have a business idea doesn't mean that it's always a great one. And sometimes my job is to tell people no. I would rather tell a business, no, this isn't the right area or the right fit, or the business is not viable here, before they take out a big loan or, ask grandma for her backup savings account. Sometimes we have to tell people no, because in the end, if that business opens up and then they fail, it looks poorly upon the community when maybe they just didn't have their business plan lined out.
And so is it my understanding that if someone is saying, I'm thinking about opening this type of business here in Dunklin County, they can contact you. You will do a consultation with them. Is that correct? And kind of say, we've tried 7 of these businesses in the past. Here's what's happened to the 7 businesses. They were either very successful or weren't successful. It was 50-50. You need to really think about what you're doing before you move any farther.
That's exactly right. So I have a connection with the Small Business Development Center through SEMO University in Cape Girardeau. His name is Jacob Pallison. He's the director of the Small Business Development Center. I will meet with the business or the prospective owner. We'll co-opt Jacob in if needed, and he will help us run an analysis. And so if you have, let's just throw out a pizza business. If you have the idea for a pizza business, Jacob can help us test if that is going to be viable in this zip code. And are we oversaturated with pizza, or can we support more pizza? He can help us decide if that is a good idea, help us do some sales projections. It's up to the business owner to kind of help us with some of their expense projections, and then we can work together to find out what they can expect to cash flow or to lose. And
you indicated a lot about we're lucky here in this area to not only have Three Rivers, but also Southeast Missouri State University. Is it my understanding that as Director of Economic Development, you take an active role in reaching out to those resources and also will assist individuals who are wanting to become business owners and assisting them reach out to those assistance as well?
Yes, I'm glad to make those connections. So just today, I talked to the administrator of Three Rivers here in Kennett, and I've also been in contact with the economic developer at SEMO and Cape for Dr. Hodson. So they communicate with me weekly at a minimum, and we're happy to set up those consultations as necessary.
And again, we're here with Melissa Combs, and she's been gracious enough to give us a little time on Welcome to the Booth. She's Director of Economic Development for Dunklin County. I've been doing that for about...
I'm in my third year.
She works directly for the county commission. She does an excellent job. If you want to contact Melissa, she can be found on
DunklinCounty.gov.
And the website's very easy to use. There's a email address that you can leave her an email. She'll get back to you promptly. Melissa, there's always the individuals out there that be like, why can't we bring in a steel mill? Why can't we bring in FedEx to come to our airport and use it as a terminal? Kind of explain to the people some of the things that go on whenever we're looking for businesses and when businesses are looking for communities.
A lot of times when a business is looking for something very specific, and sometimes we will just barely miss the mark for what we need. I'll tell you that one big barrier that we're working on is the closest to a four-lane highway. And so Highway 412 is what connects Tennessee, Missouri, and Arkansas. But we have a 20-mile barrier between Kennett and the Arkansas state line that has impeded a lot of our development progress. We are happy that 412 expansion has finally made it onto MoDOT's STIP. That's a statewide transportation improvement plan, and they are scoping that highway for expansion. That will really loosen some of the barriers that we have faced.
And let's talk a little bit about that. You said that we are now on the MoDOT STIP for expansion. It's my understanding that 412 will need to be expanded from Kennett all the way down to the state line, close to Cardwell and the Mr. T's. Is that correct?
That's right.
It's on the STIP. Does that mean that the funding has been approved, or that we're just in the process of looking forward to doing more studies?
So the study. So the environmental study is complete. It's waiting on the stamp from the Federal Highway Administration. In 2023, I believe the Dunklin County Commission paid for half of that study through the Governor's Cost Share Program, and that advanced us up the chain. Before they made that move, we really weren't making much progress on expanding 412. So the environmental study is complete. We're waiting on that final stamp. They have received some federal money, I understand, to do this scoping, and the scoping is just kind of the final planning phase before it actually gets completed in phases.
And I remember 5, 6, 7 years maybe, there was some big discussion about where the 412 was going to run. You know, they were talking about coming off and kind of bypassing Kennett in regards to the highway. If we're interested in knowing any more about the 412, the plan or program, is there something that we can get on and look at?
So MoDOT does have a dedicated page. If you'll just Google Missouri 412, it'll go straight to it. I can't tell you exactly what it is. When we get that final stamp from Federal Highway Administration, MoDOT is going to have a public hearing, and they will reveal their 2 different designs that are options, and they will receive public comment on those.
And again, we're here with Melissa Combs, Director of Economic Development for Dunklin County, talking a little bit about some of the advances that she's made as the Director of Economic Development in her 3 years. Obviously, there's going to be a major announcement at the end of the month, August, talking about a new employer that's coming to town that we're very excited about. I've been trying to pry the information out of Melissa, but it's not happening. Is that correct?
You won't get it today.
Not today, but she will be giving that information out very soon. And we're very excited. It's going to be a major announcement. She's been working on that project for how long?
Since July of 24.
And we've talked a little bit about some of her duties. Melissa, in your regard to your role as Director of Economic Development for Dunklin County for the last 3 years and looking forward, what are some of the major projects or things that you really want to push in your next 5-6 years as Economic Director?
So that Highway 412 is a number 1 priority of Dunklin County Commission. We've pushed that really hard. We made a big legislative trip this past year to try to get that funding secured. we were lucky that House Representative Donnie Brown put the entire project at $89 million into the House budget. It was really exciting for about 6 days. It made it through the Transportation Committee, through House Budget Committee, but ultimately was cut by the House chair. So we understood, but we did make it through to the STIP, and we've never made it all the way to the STIP. So we're happy that the scoping project is there. That's our number one priority for Dunklin County. Number two is healthcare. Well, it's no secret that in 2018, Twin Rivers Hospital closed, and that created a huge workforce issue for our area. We're lucky that for the most part that those workers have stayed in our area and are commuting elsewhere, but we'd really like some emergency healthcare to return to the area.
And I know that there's a push or something of that nature. We've talked about the hospital before. There's a group, I think there was some money delegated to that. We're going to wait and see what happens with that. Is that correct?
That's right.
And again, we're here with Melissa Combs. Welcome to the booth with Darren Todd, KDX AM 1590 AM. Melissa, we're wrapping up. We got about 2 or 3 minutes. Give me, in a nutshell, Melissa Combs' future for Kennett in regards to economic development.
For the city of Kennett, I hope that the council continues with their push to clean up properties. That's really important for the advancement of the community. If you want quality citizens to move here and work here, you've got to continue that cleanup effort. So kudos to them for working on that during a tumultuous time. Also, I believe that the city needs to find more area to market for industrial projects. Everyone wants a 500-person factory to move here, but where are you going to put it and who's going to work there? So I wouldn't push for a 500-person facility, but something small. It's time for the city to probably invest in some more land.
And in talking about all Dunklin County, you know, the one thing, and I'm not trying to drop this in your lap, there's been some real concern about the old Emerson property. You know, it's vacant. They have some stuff torn down. There's some fencing. I think Three Rivers currently owns it. Has there been any discussion with economic development or Three Rivers about utilizing that property for anything?
I've got great ideas for that property. I would have transformed it a year ago if possible. Yes, I would love to see that property put to useful life. You know, it was sentimental for many years. After Emerson closed, there was a big wound for the community. I think, unfortunately, that wound is even greater now that the building or the property looks the way it does. So, yes, I would love to see that property moved on to a new purpose.
And I guess, you know, I'm asking you questions that are clearly on your radar. There's nothing in Dunklin County as far as anything from Cardwell, Arbord, Holcomb, Campbell, Clarkton, Malden that's not on your radar regarding wanting to bring in more industry to Dunklin County, correct?
That's right. Any community that is ready for a big employer, we're ready to come see what you've got.
And, you know, one thing about, and we're wrapping up with Melissa Combs, Director of Economic Development for Dunklin County. Emerson was a very unique place for me as well. After my my freshman year in college, my mother, who was at the time the human resource manager for Parker Hannafin, got me a job working there. The 3 a.m. to 11 a.m. shift. We were making motors for the time, I believe, the Persian War. No, not the Persian War, the Gulf War. And so I was working about 3 to 3, from 3 in the afternoon to 3 at night. And it taught me, you know, a lot of important values about hard work, and it was amazing, and it was a great time, and I enjoyed it tremendously. Met a lot of great people there. So I'm really hoping that Dunklin County and Kennett can do something with that property.
I hope so. I hope that a transformation is in the near future.
And again, we've been here with Melissa Combs, Director of Economic Development for Dunklin County. And I'd like to thank her for coming to Welcome to the Booth with Darren Todd on the KDX AM 1590. I'd like to thank you for making us part of your day. And on behalf of my producer, Maureen Johnson, and my executive producer, Evan Todd, I hope you have a good afternoon and a better tomorrow. Thank you.